Okay, the lesson today is 7th grade lesson 1.5. Students will use the idea that when solving division problems that involve integers, they will divide between the numbers as usual and then count the signs to determine if the answer is positive or negative. The standards covered in this lesson are 7NS2, A, B, and C, 7NS3, and 7EE3. The page numbers out of the Big Ideas Red Book are pages 30 through 33 out of the hardcover book and page 22 out of the practice journal. Okay, today we're going to review really quick those rules that we used when we multiplied. In lesson 4, when we went through and we multiplied integers, we thought of it like this. Let's multiply as normal. 3 times 5 is 15. And then we counted our negative signs. 1, 2. And when we end up counting those negative signs and we have an even number, that's a positive answer. So here we end up with positive 15. Okay, in the second example, we would think 8 times 11 is 88. So that's how we're getting our digit. Count our negative signs. There's only 1. So that's an odd number. That makes a negative answer. Okay, so then 7 times 4 is 28. We had 1 negative, so that's an odd number, so that's a negative 28. We're going to use that same concept when we divide integers. So here we just want to think, what is 64 divided by 8? Okay, so 64 divided by 8 is going to give us 8. Now we count our negative signs. There's 1, so it makes our answer a negative 8. So same process that we used when we did multiplication, we can now carry over into division. It's just that now to get our digit, we divide between the numbers. So 32 divided by 8 is going to give me 4. Count our negatives. 1, 2, that's a positive or an even number, that's a positive 4. Okay, so that's what we're going to be working with today. We're going to go ahead and jump past these. Well, I jumped past the previous one. So here, when we go through and we work through our numbers, you'll notice that I've already kind of lined these up. So we're going to discuss them out really quick. When we go through and we solve division, sometimes division is going to be shown using this little division slash bar. Sometimes we'll see it written like this, 25, sorry, that's negative 25 divided by negative 5. And sometimes we'll see it written like I had on the previous slide, like this. Okay, you have to be comfortable with interchanging between all of those because it's just going to depend on the format of either the company that made the worksheet or maybe for me, whichever product I'm using on my computer, which makes it easier to go through and type it out. Okay, so now when I look at this, I'm going to think 25 divided by 5. And when I do that, 25 divided by 5 is going to give me, 5. Then I count my negatives. 1, 2, that's a positive 5 for this one. Okay, so let's try another one. Okay, so the next one is negative 20 divided by negative 5. Okay, so we're going to think 20 divided by 5 is 4. Count our negatives. There's 1, 2, we end up with a positive 4. Okay, so you're going to go through and work through a few more of these just to kind of practice. And then to check yourself, you're going to look at the answer, which is right next to the circle. So you can kind of double check yourself just to make sure that you're going through and getting those reps in, okay? All right, so the next thing that we're going to work on is orders of operation. So here we need to review really quick what PEMDAS is. The P of PEMDAS is parentheses or other symbols of inclusion, so that can include brackets and braces also. The E stands for exponents or roots, which we aren't going to be working with roots yet, but that is down the road. The MD of PEMDAS is multiply and divide, and we always work that left to right. And then the AS of PEMDAS is add and subtract, and that is also from left to right. So some of you need that little checklist, and some of you don't. So if you need that, then you might have to write the word PEMDAS down and just check off as you go. So here, when I look at this problem of 24 divided by negative 4 plus negative 2 times negative 5, I'm going to go through. Do I have any parentheses? Well, I do, but these parentheses are really just identifying integers. So I'm not going to have to simplify any further. So that's done. Do I have any exponents or roots? No, so those are done. Is there any multiplying or dividing? Now, I'm one that goes through in circles if I have them so that my eyes can focus on those. So here I see a division sign. So we're going to solve that. And here I see a multiplication sign. So we're going to solve that. So now when I go through and I solve, I'm going to think 24 divided by 4, which gives me 6. Count my negatives. There's only 1, so it's -6 there. Bring my plus sign down. Okay, so now we're multiplying 2 times 5, which is 10 for my digit. Count my negatives. It's a positive 10. Okay, I'm going to put that in there just so that you realize I did double check that. Now we're going to think back to what we did back in lesson 2, and that was working with adding integers. So we're going to think different symbols. Find the difference. So the difference between 10 and 6 would be 4. We subtract between them. Apply the larger sign. The larger digit had a plus sign, so it's a positive 4 for an answer. And remember, you don't have to put that positive symbol in front. I am right now just because I want to make sure that you understand that I have checked that. Okay, so let's try another one. Okay, so here I have some division. I don't have any parentheses other than for integers. I don't have any exponents. I do have some dividing here. And then I also have this spot right here that can also be simplified because really it is kind of multiplication. I'm taking a negative times this -3. So remember what we did back in, I think that was lesson 2 also, when we had 2 negatives right next to each other, it made a plus sign. So if I simplify, well, 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. Simplify this part, gives me a plus sign, and then 3. Now I can go through and finish it out. 4 plus 3 gives me 7 for my answer. Okay, so working those steps. Okay. Now these 3 over here, the 9, 10, and 11, are out of your practice journal. So if you want to work these out of your practice journal, you may. Okay, so when we look at number 9, we have -63 divided by -7 plus 6. So checking my orders of operation. There's parentheses, but it's to identify an integer here. There's no roots or exponents, so that's done. Do I have any multiplying or dividing? Yes, there's division here, so we're going to simplify this. Okay, so I'm going to think 63 divided by 7, which is 9. Count my negatives, 1, 2, that's an even number, so really this is a positive 9. And then I'm going to bring the rest of it down, plus 6. Okay, so now we're to where it's adding and subtracting. So 9 plus 6 gives me 15. So we got 15 for that one. Okay, so I'm going to pull these other 2 out. And you're going to want to pause your video. And once again, these are out of your journal book. So number 10 was -5 minus 12 divided by 3. And then number 11 is -8 times 7 plus 33 divided by -11. So go ahead, pause your video, work your way through those. And then when you start your video back up, you can check your answers. Okay, you should have gotten -9 for number 10 and -59 for number 11. If you didn't get those, check with myself or check with somebody else to compare work to see why you didn't get those answers. Okay, the last part of lesson 5 is working with evaluation. And once again, evaluation is one of those things that kids struggle with because of that whole substitution process. Okay, so I'm going to slide this up just so that it's more at my level of writing. Remember, when you evaluate, you substitute in, and then you follow your orders of operation. Okay, so when I substitute in, I'm going to go ahead and put my numbers in parentheses that I'm substituting in, just to make it easier for me to look at. So here, when I substitute in, I have a negative, and then x is 10. And then I had a squared. Okay, so that part's done. Then I have a plus sign. And then I have a 6. And in parentheses, I'm going to put my z, which is -5. Okay, so I'm putting everything in parentheses so that it just makes it easier for me to understand and not forget that I'm multiplying and that this really isn't just 6 minus 5, Right here, it's 6 times negative 5. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and carry down the rest of it. So I got that. And then y was negative 2. Okay, so let's go through and work this one out. I'm going to shift this one up. Okay, so if I look at this, PEMDAS, do I have any parentheses? No. All of my parentheses in this problem are identifying integers, so that's done. Excuses, exponents, or roots. Do I have any? Yes, I do, right here. So we're going to simplify that. So 10 squared is 100. Now I can't forget about this negative sign that's on the outside. So now I have negative 100 there. Okay. My dear, remember these go together, multiplying and dividing, left to right. Okay, so do I have any multiplying or dividing? I have multiplying here. I do have division, but here's the thing. In this division, I cannot do that part until I get a single answer for the whole top. So there is division, but in this case, I can't work that until I simplify everything that's on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and do this part. 6 times 5 is 30. And then I have one negative, so it's negative 30. And then down here, I still have negative 2. Okay, so now we're going to do any adding or subtracting. I can't do this division right here until I get a single answer on top. So let's see, negative 100 plus negative 30, those are the same symbols. Find the sum would be 130. Apply the same symbol, so negative. And then I still have negative 2 on the bottom. So now I get to do the division. Negative 130 divided by 2. Sorry, negative 2. So if I think 130 divided by 2, 130 divided by 2 is going to give me 65 for my digit. And I'm going to count my negatives. There's 1, 2 negatives. It's a positive 65. Okay, so let's have you try one. Okay, so you've got okay, you can go ahead and pause your video and work your way through this one. You've got 10 times y squared divided by z. So remember, you have to simplify that entire top part before you can do the division by z. Okay, and that's it for lesson 5. I know the evaluations are ones that are probably most difficult, so make sure that as you're doing those that you're checking maybe with a partner, you're checking with me, because those are the ones that kids tend to struggle with the most. And it's usually because they don't copy down information right, or they forget to put those integers in parentheses and look at it as subtraction or adding instead of actually multiplying between those numbers. So good luck, and let me know if you need any help.